As lockdown measures begin to lift around the world and summer approaches, travel is increasingly on our minds.
But until we find a vaccine, our holidays, much like everyday life, will be very different indeed. So what can we expect?
We will have much more rules, and these rules will change dynamically. What may be a rule today may not be a rule in 2 months to come, and we don't know what will be in 2 months to come. So I think we will have to be very flexible and adaptive in the way we travel and in the way we make our travel plans.
Travel will start domestically first, before scaling up to regional and then international holidays. But what we might see emerging first are these kind of travel bubbles. So Australia and New Zealand, for example, are in talks about opening up bilateral tourism arrangements. Closer to home in Croatia, they're hopeful that there'll be these kind of tourism corridors opening up to bring in travellers and to kickstart their country's struggling tourism economy.
Domestic travel in China is already underway, and European countries like Norway and Germany are taking steps towards domestic travel to return this summer. In this new era of travel, there will be stricter hygiene standards, with hand sanitizers, face masks and social distancing becoming the norm. The World Travel and Tourism Council says a coordinated response is key.
It is crucial to use the same standard protocols across the world so that the traveler feels comfortable.
So we could well see standardised cleaning and testing protocols introduced around the world. In airports, we'll likely see health screening processes like temperature checks and COVID-19 tests. Your in-flight experience may look a little different too, with an increasing number of airlines telling passengers to wear face masks.
EasyJet is said to be looking into social distancing measures, such as leaving middle seats empty, and if air capacity is down as a result, then the cost of travel could well go up.
At sea, cruises are talking about introducing one-way systems on board, and it's unlikely you'll be able to find buffets in the post-COVID world. They could become a thing of the past in hotels too. But we could well see COVID-free hotels emerging, with masks, gloves and hand sanitizer available upon arrival. Some luxury hotels are even promising thermal cameras and testing for guests.
In the UK, Visit Britain is looking into rolling out a kind of industry-standard kite mark system, which would show the attractions and accommodation that have safe social distancing measures in place. The travel and tourism sector accounts for 10% of global GDP and employs more than 100 million people worldwide.
This is an unprecedented crisis. Unfortunately, this has been the largest by far. I mean, if you combine 9/11 and 2008 financial crisis, it's greater than those two together. The difference is going to be depending on the actions that the governments take. Not every country is going to recover at the same time. For the countries that they are offering support to the workers, like support to the furloughs in the UK, they are going to be able to recover faster.
Experts say government support will be crucial for the industry's future.
I would encourage governments to connect with other governments, learn to what's going on in other countries, and also partner with the private sector so that we can help them to move faster and recover faster.
But this unusual time could mean new opportunities for small startups, like Airbnb, which emerged after the 2008 financial crash. But could coronavirus also mean the demise of mass tourism and the rise of responsible travel? Ulf Sontag hopes so.
Maybe that now that you're not allowed to travel, you reflect a bit, like the consumer maybe reflects a bit, and also the industry reflects a bit on what travel is about. Rather than like just going for the next best deal and just travel more and cheap. Rather do something that you really like. Maybe we will, on the long run, we will see a change towards a more, let's say, more value-based approach towards traveling.
Over the past decade, we've seen trends like ecotourism and sustainable travel on the rise, which is something that Aukje van Gerven hopes will be here to stay.
I think people will just start to think of, what do I want? How do I want to travel? Do I want to be in a crowded airport? Do I want to take a very crowded and uncomfortable flight? Do I want to be in a country with different health controls than my own country? Do I want to join a tour bus with 30 other people? I actually think it's the new normal, because I think the pandemic has only accelerated the travel trends that were already on the rise. So I was talking before about ecotourism and sustainable travel already taking a flight, and this has just accelerated it. It's just that people want to think more sustainably. They also want to be more in nature because it will be less crowded. There are literally less people. They have more space to themselves. And now with of people all having to socially distance, they might feel more comfortable in nature.
With the global pandemic constantly developing, it's impossible to say how our travels will look in the future, but one thing we know for sure is that our holidays will never look quite the same again.